All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was about a week ago or a little less that the New Jersey state legislature, the Democratic State Committee's investigation of Governor Christie, basically, well, some say cleared him on his culpability in the Bridgegate scandal. Others say, well, this report did no such thing. Here joining us once again is columnist for the New Jersey Star Ledger, or should I say the Newark Star Ledger, Paul Mulshine. Hello, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to speak to you again. All right, so your take on this report. I mean, obviously, they had nothing. I mean, because if they had something, we would know about it, right?
Yeah, well, my take is, here's the nut graph, and this is what the Christie people love. At present, there is no conclusive evidence as to whether Governor Christie was or was not aware of the lane closures, either in advance of their implementation or contemporaneously as they were occurring. Now, Christie has very brilliantly, once he started recovering from this scandal, he set the bar very low. He said, as long as I didn't know about this in advance, I'm off the hook. In fact, he kind of participated in a cover-up for about 3 months, but he got away with it, So, the cover-up, I mean, he had to know his staff was up to their eyeballs in this thing, and it was the most absurd scandal I've ever seen. I was at the press conference 3 months after it when he made the joke that said, "Oh, I worked the cones. It's ridiculous to even ask me about this." And it did seem crazy that somebody would shut down the George Washington Bridge to get revenge on some obscure mayor for some obscure reason, and yet it happened. So, it was a really odd. His people were so out of control during that campaign. His ego was so massive. He was so convinced he was going to be the next president that they would do stuff like this.
All right, but again, everything you're saying may be very, very true, and I'm no fan of Christie for a lot of reasons. But I mean, this is a democratically controlled. I mean, the attorney, which the state of New Jersey paid for, and that means me and you, that he hired, and the investigation that Christie did, exonerated him. But this is not that report. This is the Democratic-controlled, committees in the state legislature that also could come up with nothing. So, I mean, can't we then assume that there's nothing?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying that he did that's brilliant. I mean, everybody in his administration on down, was up to their eyeballs in this thing. And as you read the report, you can see, screw up after screw up. Christie himself kept trying to repeat, even as late as February on the radio, was trying to repeat this idea that this might have been a legitimate traffic study, which of course it obviously wasn't. It's pretty bad when people in your administration would do something this stupid. And just the fact that you didn't know about it personally doesn't get you off the hook because you're in charge, All right,
but Paul, okay, but then Paul, by extension, again, I mean, if that's the bar, then Obama's up to his neck in IRS and everything else that's been going on, and Hillary is responsible for Benghazi because they were in charge. I mean, then that's what's fair is fair. So shouldn't the media be all over them the way they were all over Christie, and the way that they would have been all over Christie if they found something out here?
Yeah, well, I mean, they should. It's when you're in charge, you're in charge, and you get, you're responsible, and that's it sticks to you. And but I would say in this case, I'm talking more about how brilliantly he kind of manipulated everybody and changed the subject. And he's back. The good thing about it for Christie is he was so out of control. He was gonna get in some kind of trouble like this because his ego is the most massive thing on the planet, and this kind of brought him down to earth.
How significant is it that two of his top aides didn't testify because their attorneys wouldn't let him, whatever?
Oh, it's pretty significant. I mean, they're liable to get indicted, and then they may sing, and then we may find out there may be something out there that could come back to haunt him. The U.S. attorney, as you know, is playing it very close to the vest here, so we're not really finding out anything there. And when the indictments come down, if somebody has something on Christie, you can expect it to come out. I don't really think they're going to get anything that's very close to him. I think it was just his problem was having hired people like this. You know, that was these people like David Wildstein.
All right.
That was just crazy.
Right.
See, it's a comeback for Christie.
His buddy.
I'd say. You know,
yeah.
I mean, you
all
got
right. Well,
he's
Paul,
back on the national scene.
Paul, have a great Christmas, and thank you very much for being with us, sir. As always.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Bye now.
Take care. Paul Mulshine, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, editor-in-chief of Truth Revolt, Ben Shapiro.